Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I wanted to do this quick update video on Jeffrey Epstein and the cases surrounding him because we actually do have a significant update outside of the Soledad O'Brien story we're going to be talking about. But the O'Brien story in particular highlights something to me. This is a big club. You and me, we ain't in it. We ain't in it. And there's a lot of facade put out there about people fighting Epstein or his network, when in fact, most of these people are protecting him at the very least. And what do I mean? Well, let's just jump into the O'Brien story. Now, I literally got this from, I check all the time seeing if there's going to be any updates, but the Daily Caller had this little gossip section. And Mehdi Hassan, who, the Intercept, but you've seen him a lot. I thought I saw him I'm pretty sure he recently interviewed Eric Prince it was Al Jazeera. By the way, Eric Prince, he's somebody who went on Breitbart Radio before the election, alleged that Hillary Clinton had been to Epstein's Island at least 6 times. And obviously, I assume you're familiar with the Epstein case, of one of the most notorious trafficking cases ever, the biggest sweetheart deal when we had dozens and dozens of underage victims that came out and had nothing to do, no say in the deal that Alex Acosta made and is now a part of, yes, the Trump administration. And obviously, guys, if you haven't seen, we've done a lot of videos. A lot of videos on Epstein, his connections, Dershowitz, who we're going to get into a little bit later in this story. But Soledad O'Brien kind of responding to really a non-question about Epstein, dropped a pretty big truth bomb that I haven't seen in the media before. So Hassan is talking about Kellyanne Conway, and he's asking the question, when will she be absorbed back into polite society once she's left the White House? How quickly, with all her lies, absurdities, gaslightings, and apologism for racism, I don't love the racism part, by the way, be forgotten, forgiven? Which big corporation will dare hire her? Which TV network? And of course, plenty will be hiring Kellyanne Conway, I promise you. There will be no shortage of jobs for many in the administration, especially her, because she's lasted a lot of firings, and quite frankly, she holds her own in the media very well, regardless. So Soledad O'Brien, and if you're unfamiliar with Soledad O'Brien, she worked for CNN for years. This is not an endorsement of Soledad O'Brien by any means either. However, she tweets back. Remember, this didn't have anything to do with Epstein. She goes, "Oh, please, they all will. They all will." After his conviction as a sex offender, and remember, sweetheart deal. We all assumed that at least he had to plead to a 14-year-old girl when it has just come out after years and years and years and years of this, that it was actually 16, making him not even having to register as a sex offender in over 30 states in this country. Think about that. This is a billionaire with property everywhere, with homes everywhere. And in New Mexico, for instance, where he owns property, he does not even have to register as an offender. It's the truth. So she says, after his conviction as a sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein threw a dinner party. It was well attended. He served time for soliciting sex from a young girl. Google it. Read the comments of those who attended. Well, again, I'm not sure if I've ever seen who attended this dinner party, but he's still highly involved in investing, in university funding, and much, much more. So, it just keeps getting more bizarre. I want to point out, we have over 26 times that Clinton rode on his plane. We know he was connected to Trump. Like it or not, MAGA people, prior to him associating him with Bill Clinton in front of Hannity when he was asked a question about Clinton, he absolutely called him a great guy. He even acknowledged that he liked women, many on the younger side. All quotes we've covered in previous videos, and we do give him credit for instance, we're going to get into this video, but Bradley Edwards, who is a lawyer who represented many of these women during this atrocious decision by the prosecutor and others in Florida, he had to countersue Epstein. And we're going to get into this case because it mirrors what's happening now with the Dershowitz case. Okay? He beat Epstein on the morning they were about to pick a jury in a countersuit. You see, originally, Epstein sued Bradley Edwards here, saying he was making up all sorts of lies and these women were lying. And Edwards beating that suit, countersuit, took almost a decade. And once it got to the point of jury selection, an undisclosed agreement was reached. And we're actually going to play a lot of this video so you can see it. But they're in front of a mountain of evidence. And Edwards is still very much involved in this ongoing case. And that's what I want to get next. All right? We could talk about the weird temple on his island some other time. Again, so many bizarre things going in on this case. Now, Dershowitz, okay, has welcomed this lawsuit, okay, and said he had nothing to do. And by the way, he stuck to his story. He's saying that Virginia Guthrie has been lying this whole time because she names him as one of her abusers while she was underage. And indeed, this woman does have pictures with people like Prince Andrew. There aren't any that exist with Dershowitz, and he claims he's never met her. Okay? Now, he's gone on record and been everywhere. Now, Dershowitz is just one of the attorneys for Epstein. For instance, right now, the Patriots owner, he's got Jake Goldberg. Is it Goldberger or Goldberg? Where is it? Yes, Jack Goldberger, who is also on the legal team for Epstein currently and has worked with Dershowitz in the past. The one big club motif is what I want you to understand here, okay? So Dershowitz has said that this woman is lying. She won't say these things outside of a court. He's never met her. Well, just a few days ago, I was unaware of this, but in a separate suit, because she already has a suit against Dershowitz for sex abuse. In a separate suit now, she's claiming defamation. And as far as I know, she's still represented by Edwards, who's beat Epstein in court right now. Okay? And like I said, we're going to get into that in a moment. We're going to just play this. This happened in the beginning of December. A lot of people are unaware, and I don't know all the details of what happened. But he had to write an apology in a written statement, sign off on it, and we've gone over that statement. And it says, hey, this guy did his job the right way. He never broke the law. He never lied. It's the sum of it. And, yeah, kudos to him. Well, if he never did those things, he alleged some pretty rough things about Epstein. And the things that he sneaks in this speech, by the way, it's about 24 minutes if you want to see the untruncated version. I've played segments of that on previous videos over at We Are Change and Pulse Change. If you're not subscribed to those channels, guys, please subscribe. And if you're not subscribed to this one you're watching, subscribe right now, please. It's the mean streets of YouTube. I need your help out there. Hit those notification bells. Share this stuff on social media. So, we have this new defamation suit, and while this is going on, just last week, this woman, okay, Maria Farmer is her name, she alleges that she was around, now she was overage, okay, and saw Dershowitz back in the 90s associating with Epstein, the late 90s, and in a home she worked at where there were clearly underage girls upstairs for quote-unquote modeling work. Again, we've covered this stuff. She also alleges that she went to the FBI after she was sexually assaulted by Epstein and his girlfriend, madam, whatever you want to call her, Ghislaine Maxwell, in a bedroom at, I believe, the owner of Victoria's Secret, who also works his way into these lawsuits and allegations from Virginia Guthrie's. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Now, this is interesting because her allegations would be the earliest we know of on record, and going to the FBI and going to the New York Police Department, and totally separate from what was happening in Palm Beach and in Florida. And remember, if you watch the whole thing with him, he expands a lot on this network and who they slither amongst. And there's also a great interview with him afterwards with Derek Brose from the Conscious Resistance, where he talks about Trump contacting him and being one of the only people that was cooperative. We have to give Trump credit on that. He also talks about several black books and other locations that are almost never talked about in the media, by the way. And because of the Miami Herald, some of this has gone mainstream, and it actually just won the Hillman Foundation Award for Journalism for the Common Good. And this kind of actually warms my heart because it shows you that journalism is not dead. And the Miami Herald has been at the apex of this investigation, in my opinion. It's what has shined the light on the darkness of this the most. All right? So that being said, I want to show everybody what was said and how this lawsuit was already won. So now we have, again, she's filed a defamation suit against Dershowitz. This should get interesting. If her lawyer already beat Epstein, took a decade to do, but he did it.
Epstein, and then upon my return, sir. So again, I thank you very much. We'll be here.
The court made it very clear that he was not going to allow this case to turn into a trial about whether and to what extent Jeffrey Epstein molested dozens of children. It was not going to be about that. It was only going to be on Jeffrey Epstein's assault on me, where he made allegations that I had made up certain of those allegations.
The lawsuit had claimed that Edwards was doing improper representation and all this, and Edwards claimed back at Epstein, no, what you're doing is malicious, you're trying to ruin my reputation and kind of deflect the case.
And that's exactly what he was doing, or, Epstein wouldn't have settled the day of jury selection. Think about that. The lawyer representing these women never broke the law, never lied, never made a false allegation, and instead, Epstein and his lawyers, Dershowitz and his buddies, what'd they do? They tried to smear Edwards.
And so here we are, finally, it's settled. We don't have all the terms of it, but it sets the stage for something else.
We're going to have a volume of victims that are going to come forward and be ready to testify and not get cross-examined. Testify about what happened to them in a way that'll help them heal.
So right there you can see the stacks of evidence and where this is going. Again, I'm aware of the Guthrie case. We're following it, but it seems like there is more and more to come.
It would take a fool not to recognize that he faces extremely serious jeopardy at this point. He faces the distinct possibility that his sweetheart plea bargain can get set aside and that he and others will face federal criminal prosecution.
There's a federal case also pending here in West Palm Beach involving Epstein and the secret agreement that the federal government reached with him not to prosecute him federally if he would plead guilty to a couple of state charges. He did 13 months in jail. He's a sex offender registered, but he could have gone to prison for life if he had been prosecuted federally.
And again, we've pointed out that the minimum, as Acosta had to answer to Clark, and we've played that video, of 360 plus years. That should have been the minimum of what he was charged with and convicted with the crimes and allegations that were there. And Acosta said that when shown to a grand jury, that these are his words, that they said they would not have even recommended jail time. He wouldn't even have gone to jail. And at the end of the day, he had to register and he went to jail. Well, give me a break. He walks around to this day. His network was never dismantled. We never got to the bottom of what actually happened. The victims were never taken care of properly. And the big club doesn't mind going to a dinner party after he does his time, do they? I thank Soledad O'Brien for that tweet. It was very important. Guys, like I said, mean streets of YouTube out here. They're tough. They're really, really tough. I need you to hit that subscribe button. I need you to share this on social media. Please, if you've got a blog, a website, Reddit, other forums, vote. I know that's all out there. Please share these videos on those forums. I can't tell you how much that does for my traffic and for the awareness out there of these videos. You know, we're doing more and more videos not only on Epstein and Nexium and MK Ultra and the Dark Overlord, but so much more coming up in the future. You know, again, I do these things a lot of times after 1 in the morning. Right now it's 1:46 a.m. I'm trying to find time. If you follow my work, please, 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 please hit that subscribe button right now. And remember, I do 4 videos a day, 6 days a week over at We Are Change and Pulse Change. Ton of stuff there as well. If you're not subscribed and you're not watching this live, there'll be some things you can hit at the end of the video all over the place. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back again shortly, hopefully with something you enjoy.